This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, it's a great zchus and a very unique opportunity. Actually, we were investigating this for about 2.5 years now, to be in the Willesden Cemetery, the Willesden United Synagogue Cemetery. And we're at the grave, as you see, in memory of the very Reverend Dr. Nathan Marcus Adler, for 45 years, the revered and beloved Chief Rabbi of the United Hebrew Congregations of the British Empire. His soul returned on high on January 21st, 5650. That's 1890. He was born in 1803. He was nifter in 1890. So you see the grave of one of the great chief rabbis, but you don't really realize the greatness of this great tzaddik and great Talmid Chacham. When I say great tzaddik, the Chassam Sofer writes in a Tshuva Siman Lamed Ches in his Likutim that I know, says the Chassam Sofer, that this Rav was muchzak l'tzaddik, and he was muchzak to be a great Talmid Chacham. So we come over on this side to the Hebrew. Adonein Morein Rabbeinu Agon HaMefursam HaChassid Shebekahuna. Now he was a relative of the great Rav Nosson Adler, the Rabbi of the Chassam Sofer. He was born only 3 years after the death of Rav Nosson Adler, the Rabbi of the Chassam Sofer, and he was named after him. He was also a Kohen, and he's the Baal HaMechaber Sefer Nesina Lager. Now, Nesina Lager is not such a well-known sefer. I actually got a hold of it pretty recently. 5 volumes on Targum Onkelos. He wrote the preeminent work on Targum Onkelos. He also wrote the Sefer Ahavas Yonasan. Now, he was a Rav for 61 years in Aldensburg, in Hanover, in Germany, and the chief rabbi in Britain. So the interesting story is that he was actually well acquainted with Prince Adolphus, the Duke of Cambridge, who was serving in Germany at the time. Now, the Duke of Cambridge's wife was pregnant, and the Duke of Cambridge had a big dilemma, because if his wife gives birth in Germany, this child would never be able to ascend to the throne as a British sovereign, because he's not born in the Admas Kodesh of Great Britain. So he went to ask advice of Nathan Marcus Adler, who was in Hanover in Germany at the time, and he came up with a Gewaldige Eitzah. He said, take your wife who's in labor out to sea, past the territorial waters of Germany, and then the baby will not be born on German territory. He'll be born on neutral territory, and he'll still be eligible to be for Malchus. And because of this important advice, when the chief rabbinate opened in Great Britain, the Duke of Cambridge advised that they accept Rav Nosson Adler as the chief rabbi of England. Interestingly, in that position, Rav Shamshon Fal Hirsch also applied for the job, but it was given, the vote was pretty unanimous for Nathan Marcus Adler. So we said he wrote a commentary on Tehillim, on the Targum Onkelos. So just to say a few Yesodos that he teaches on Targum Onkelos. First of all, and I don't know if I was aware of this even, if I noticed this, whenever the Chumash says the word Elokim, Targum Onkelos translates it as Havaya. Except if it says Hashem Elokim, so then it says Yud Kei Vav Kei and then Elokim. But if it says Elokeichem or Elokeichain or Elokeinu, Targum Onkelos will always make a Lashon Yachid. For 2 reasons, says Rav Nosson Adler. First of all, one of the principles of Targum is to inculcate within Klal Yisrael that there's only one God. Elokim is Lashon Rabim. And therefore, the Targum avoids as much as possible using the word Elokim, instead says the Shem Havaya. And furthermore, there was a mistaken notion, says Rav Nosson Adler, that there are different parashas in the Torah written by different supreme beings, Chas Hashem. Some parashas written by Havaya, some Elokim, and therefore he wanted the whole Torah to be consistent. And he says this is one of the great principles upon which Targum is based on. So just to hear that expression, principles upon which Targum is based on, he said to see more of them, look in his Hakdama Koilelas. So he has an introduction setting forth the principles upon which Targum Onkelos is based on. And we know that Onkelos did not invent Targum Onkelos. Onkelos is Misinai. That's one of the great milas of reading Onkelos. So it's a great zchus to be here at the Makaim Menucha of Rav Nosson Adler, Nathan Marcus Adler. And as the Ran tells us, that Chachamim, since in their lifetime they were like antennas and satellites for the Chachmas Hashem, even La'achar Misasam, they continue to be a medium for the Chachmas Hashem. May we be zoicha, then this makam, all our tefillah should be neskabel, brachim and bratzim.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.